Hi, Zach.
Hello.
Oh, I thought you were setting up.
I did have set up, so I figured out.
Okay. All right. I think it is working out. That is just editors only. 1 second. Hey, Nance.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, sorry we started things a bit late. We got some stuff in the cafeteria because of Lyric Lounge. For the food. Yep. Okay. I think Dan did say it was 50-50. Do you want to say it or?
I guess there's one up.
Okay.
My chunky, the 2-pound key ring I have around my neck every day.
You're strengthening your muscles.
Except it's more so.
We're all here for now? You think that's all gonna show up?
Yeah, because Jamming said she was going to do the State of University.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, she was the person that pitched it, so she's going to go. So, hi, everybody who is here. I know that I did state in my email, if some of you have read it, that this is primarily an open space meeting instead of a traditional writers meeting, in part to give the space to talk about what happened Friday night. I know some of you know the contacts as to the information. Thank you. Myself and Jasmine worked on a piece regarding a person that passed away at the nest. And oh, hey Dan.
Hey Dave.
How's it going?
Fun.
Yeah, I did tell people about what was going on because you're still sick as of right now.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where
right now. You can set up now.
Stop being sick.
Yeah.
I would love to, believe me. I wish it were that easy because I can talk fine and all that, but it's like, oh God, I look terrible. But
We could.
man, I know every time I move my head, it's like all the dizzy. I can look straight ahead just fine, which is a problem though for moving.
Yeah, I was telling people about that you can't really drive at the moment. Yeah. Like I was saying to everybody before you popped in, I was going into the stuff we were going to talk about today, which was what happened Friday night with the person that passed away at the nest that me and Jasmine worked on going into Saturday morning. So I'm assuming almost everybody saw the article in question.
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody, like this is an open space, I don't necessarily have a structure as to what was going on. I know, at least during my time here, there's only been one case of somebody reporting on a death, and that was off campus, since it was actually one of our former news editors who reported on a murder-suicide with our library staff member. And that one also was a bit controversial because I think one of the members from QoS, he was actually trying to stop Erwin from reporting on that because it was fairly close to what happened.
And in that article, we didn't primarily make that the focus. It was more like the effects of domestic violence, both for the perpetrator and the victim.
Yeah.
And then we did mention it, but it wasn't the main piece. So that's why there's a little difference in regards to this current one, just because it happened at the nest.
Yeah. Wait, you were saying Dennis?
There's 3 seconds for that interruption part.
Okay. Yeah.
Using a chair as a stool.
Yeah. So I guess we can go around and just, if anybody has feedback or like on the article itself, like whether you guys see a position that we didn't see, a perspective that we missed, perhaps, or any terms that were not neutral.
Well, I think the biggest grievance I'll give to this article, everything else was handled fairly well. And we've had a discussion, albeit a little heated because it was very much like in the moment, very early in the morning. And we were on our way to get coffee. So it was very much like, oh shit, kind of thing. But it was more so the reaching out to Childers and expecting a comment, when right now this wouldn't have been the right time. Though in normal circumstances, yes, we do expect comments from Childers and Minna, but right now they are handling working with the family, and they don't exactly have time to respond to us because what happened was very tragic, and there's stuff that we heard from police that are really bad at keeping their mouth shut, that we can't say, but it was all right now. I think we can say that it was I don't know how to describe, but it was very tragic and very much a sensitive topic. That being, it was all I can say. He was a freshman, and the last time we saw, I think it was Childers talking with the family, or at least one of the
That was, I remember Mena and Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
And the student they were very close with. So they too were also very much going through their own grief while also trying to support the students, which was also why I felt like reaching out was a little inappropriate, because they are also in the middle of their own emotions as well.
So like, just like what we were saying, it's like it's not the best idea to pry for information. Though instinctually, yes, that's what we do as journalists. This is a time to hold that back and just give out the information we received from the email, and that pretty much being it. With the resources on campus, I'll even adding in some other resources that they may have not included, which would be like, I don't know, there's a couple nonprofits that handle work with grievance counselors that work with people who are low income.
I got it.
Which I could respond just based off of the emails I sent, because there was only one person that responded. Well, two, the police redirected me to Childers, and Dr. Mena redirected me to the targeted announcements.
More about the journalism aspect of things, which you're a part of it, no matter.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah. Well, feel free to take a seat. It's a bit of a
There's a
heavy.
big tall one there for you. Big tall boy for you.
It's a bit of a heavy topic. If you saw the email,
Sorry.
if you saw the email, it's a bit of a heavy topic for today.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know if it was for editors, right? So
It was for writers, but it ended up just being editors,
Oh,
which you are an editor.
yeah, that's okay.
Please.
So when it comes to, I feel like when these staff members are very much close to these students, because Dr. Scott has like such heavy connections with a lot of his students, and so does Mena. I mean, Mena, we can all agree, has not always been the best person, but there are still people who rely on him. And the student who passed, they were close. Him and Dr. Scott were close. So that's when I would get pissed off if member of the press came to me asking about my student who passed this summer from a tragic accident, because I'm mourning. I need time to mourn. And I was able to have that time to mourn because one, I didn't have people pressing me for information, and two, like, I was able to get these resources that my work has given me. But it's something else when a student passes, because these students look up to you. This is someone that looked up to you, and you kind of like, when a student looks up to you, you automatically take this mentor role. And that's what's happened. That happens to me every day at work. My students see me as someone they look up to, and so many try to replicate me. It's adorable. But if one of them pass tragically, it's going to take me down for like a while. So it is something you have to be careful of when you're talking to these faculty members who are seen as like more mentors. And it's just something we have to be really sensitive with too, because they are most likely not going to want to be questioned at this moment because someone that they cared about deeply has passed in a very tragic manner.
Sorry, Dan also has his hand up, and
Oh,
make sure
yep.
he doesn't get ignored either.
Dan, what would you like to say?
I agree, Ryland, that we do need to be sensitive. We also have a duty to report in a timely fashion. We are the ethics of journalism is to minimize harm, not eliminate. Our duty is to report, is to reach out. If you're right that it's a rough time for everyone, but everyone involved here is adults. Everyone involved here has the right to say no comment, has the right to ignore us reaching out, has the right to say, hey, this is inappropriate, or to redirect us. Our duty in a crisis like this is to reach out, to gather information, and to stop the rumor mill before it gets rolling. In so doing, we do need to ask questions even in a rough time. And if people want to say, no, don't talk to me right now, we back off. That's okay. But it is also at the same time our duty to reach out and report, because that is what is expected of us as journalists. It's expected of us as journalists that, hey, we're going to reach out. We're going to ask these questions because other people don't want to, because other people don't want to go through that process, because it's our job to go through that process. That's what we've chosen for ourselves, is we're going to ask these questions, and we are sensitive when we publish. Quite frequently, we ask and get more information than we do publish. But even if we gather information that we ultimately decide not to publish, having that information informs our publishing. For example, even if we don't disclose the cause of death, which I don't think we have any official statement on, although I think we could, the way we pursued it, we could have tailored our reporting in that direction, more targeted toward the issue without saying what it is. All of these things, we also give context to reporting. So when we quote the school saying there's no threat, there's no saying that there's no threat, that there's no continued threat, that there is no foul play, it's our job as journalists not only to say, yes, to quote them on that, but to determine that for ourselves to an extent, because we keep them in check. Because what if they're saying that under a different administration at this school, that might not have been the case. a different administration, that the school might not have been as trustworthy. That's also part of our job, and that's why we report and ask questions, and it's tough. People don't want to be asked questions at a time like this, but it's also our job to ask those, even if people ultimately decide not to answer them.
I do have a question along that lines though. As something that I don't know I've had the presumption of, because we've talked about this before in different contexts. Context is usually, from my understanding, getting a no comment has like a bad connotation to the person itself, and that has been my understanding. So that's where I kind of worry.
Not necessarily. If they say no comment, we could just report it as such, and it's not necessarily a negative statement towards them.
Okay.
It's like they don't want to say it at that moment in time, but we could still report that.
Let's see here. I think we said we reached out to, I'm looking to say.
It was Dr. Mena, Dr. Scott, the police department, and then Chris Childers, which it was only really Mena and then the police department that commented on that. And the email from the police was essentially redirecting me to Childers. So really Mena was the only person that commented on the situation, which was mostly for the targeted announcement.
Yeah.
But also sharing a bit about the resources. And he did actually thank me after we published the article Saturday morning.
Because my biggest concern was like the article getting published before the public announcement, because we didn't know what the school or what the family wanted, and obviously I have enough trust in the school that they would be sure if the family's okay with this announcement getting out. But
We did include that in because Jasmine actually added that information after it was published.
Yeah, because I was still on campus, so that announcement was what, around
Like 8 in
8 in
the
the
morning?
morning.
9 in the morning.
9 in the morning, so I was still editing your piece, and then that announcement came out, and then I included the quote from Dr. Bell Jordan, and along with the resources. But yeah, I definitely want to express that I think it's not a secret that we're journalists, and so I had people approach me asking me if I can verify the information, and I, especially the internet, I don't trust residents, so I don't want to do that. They were asking me to verify the cause of death, who was a student, and things of that nature, and so
There's been questions online asking who the student may be,
Yeah.
but that is something that I don't think would be the most appropriate for us to give out.
yeah, and I think so. Me and Leslie definitely has agreed that that's something we don't want to pursue. If we do a follow-up, it's most likely going to be revolved around help, or like what is the process when something like this happens? Like, who do you contact first as a student here? Is it the police? Is it the campus police? Is it the staff? Et cetera, et cetera.
Because that is too much prying into the student's personal life. And like, for example, John Bliss, I believe there was like a memorial event happening.
Celebration
on
of
that
life on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
And something like that would be appropriate to cover and disclose his full name because he was a member, like a faculty member here.
And I do think it would be best to kind of have, like, part of our constitution, what to do with student deaths. Because unfortunately, we live in a time where mental health costs money. As much as like our school tries to give us help, I myself am running out of time with timely care, so I'm gonna have to try to find outside therapists, which is really hard in Chicago. And also just hearing that there are organizations out there to help. A lot of people don't know about that. So I think maybe the next step forward, we can also just have an article just saying like, these are organizations in the city that maybe aren't directly tied to the school that are here to help you.
Whenever you do need that.
Yeah.
But that's why we exist. We exist to shine. We exist to shine a light on things that people may not know about.
I think that is like a good idea for an article as a next step.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of why I was trying not to put anything that I couldn't officially verify. Like, since it was published, I've heard different information from other students. One, that the cause of death, for one, because people have been talking about that, but I did not want to do it officially just because I couldn't get anybody on record.
Yeah.
Regarding as to what happened. And again, that shouldn't necessarily be the focus of the piece.
Yeah.
Just that it happened and we expressed our condolences and we did share resources. But we could do it in a way that is not insensitive to the family and another person on campus as well. Because I did find a connection there, but we're not going to disclose at this time.
So yeah, I think right now, kind of following solutions journalism is a solution to, not like a solution, but like would be, getting the resources, making sure I can even gather some resources probably tonight. I can try at least, that we can put in print. Like, these are resources for if and when you need help.
Yeah, I think that would be a good step. I was thinking if we should even include it all for this print issue. I don't think we should.
We should not be including the article about this article. Mainly, the only time I see where that would have been necessary to include it if the paper was coming out like the day after, because it's already, especially with events like this, timeliness is like.
Whose hands was that?
That's them.
Oh, Dan.
So he's waiting
Oh,
off of
okay.
that.
Timeliness is important, and I feel like we've already passed that threshold, especially because my deadline for my production team is either Thursday or Friday. I don't remember what I sent out. I was very, very tired when I sent out that email. I'm still very, very tired, so I don't remember a lot of things.
You need to take a break after this. That is the same for a lot of people here. So, for good reasons.
We could have like a QR code that leads to the resource list.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like if we
Production deadline's tomorrow.
tomorrow. Okay. So I feel like with that would be a really good idea, especially for our online editor to put out something just on our website, a list with links, because I feel like that's the easiest. That will be for students, or even just publishing like the article as is with like, these are the organizations and here's a QR code individually to scan to these websites.
And we can put a story in our Instagram.
Yeah.
And in our social media so that
I
we
feel like
post under that story.
I think, but we
a
want
reels would be better if we're gonna do something like that. To get seen easier.
What you were saying, Jess?
but we want to focus on the resource, not
Yeah.
primarily on the passing.
That's sort
No,
of
that's
why,
that's what I was
What
saying.
it is.
that's sort
Yeah.
of why we didn't really do social media posts on it,
Yeah.
just because the article was enough. We didn't have to really focus on it.
There is another pathway of things that the university administration might put on grieving events or reconciliation events or healing events. These are things you would cover. They would refer to the incident, perhaps just in their, because they exist, that's why. So those are other things you can add to that.
I know the Nest this weekend has provided residents food and just a place to talk. At first, because I did not know what they were doing, it really just felt like you told me that. When I just saw the food, I was like, oh, these are pizza parties where they're like not doing it. Because at first I thought it was like the Nest that was handling that.
Oh, the pizza party?
Oh,
Oh, hi, babe.
I'm not looking for batteries to steal. Also, Jasmine, I apologize.
I got it.
No one
Oh,
told me
wait.
to stay.
Hello, Faye. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it out to you. I cannot drive. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Here.
you're perfectly fine. Everything is going well, okay? Don't worry.
Okay.
They're my desk.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was just a lot at once. I'm already really overstimulated today. It's just loud noises. I can miss my morning class because if I heard a glockenspiel, I'm gonna cry.
Okay. Is that a type of machine?
No,
No,
it's
it's-
an instrument. It's like a.
It's like a marimba, but it's not.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
You already lost me.
I just thought it was like
Loud instrument.
Very loud.
like a drum.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm supposed to say a xylophone.
Oh my god, that's the other name for it. I'm sorry.
Xylophone.
Was that was like a big version?
You were saying about the pizza party?
Yeah. After because we also have to take into fact, a lot of people are questioning from what I'm hearing from my peers at the Nest is what has the Nest been doing? Because so far it's only been the counseling services providing support. And some people are like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what happened last year. The Nest did nothing to support their students when there was a shooting in the cemetery, which has rocked a lot of people. And there are still people who are a little scared of just that happening. So it's like there's still like a little bit of distrust with the Nest. And I feel like if the Nest does do something, we should immediately have someone covering it. Because
Do you,
just to provide
right.
some.
But the thing is, like, it seems like the majority of the announcements that are given to the Nest are just given to the Nest residents. So it's like you have to be a resident to even know about the event. And like, can you even come in to the Nest to participate if you're not a resident?
It's in the lobby, so yeah.
Yeah.
Lobby's kind of, that area is kind of the one that's most open to the
Yeah.
public.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can really come into the lobby during business hours.
Yeah.
And is that like official, or is that something we'd like have to like struggle against management to do? Like,
That is something they've always kind of let happen. I mean, Jenny's mom comes in, other people come in.
Right, but we're talking about journalists. Like,
yeah, like
people-
intent to cover something. Like, would they allow us in?
They should, yes, because it is a public space in their eyes.
Just in the lobby.
Yeah, the lobby.
Nan, you have your hand up again?
Yeah, just saying that, yeah, agreeing that, struggle of getting a journalist in there. They might not want journalists around asking questions, so it'd be good to have it'd be ideal to have a Nest resident who's also on our team be able to do that reporting would be ideal.
Which would be Alex.
Also, I think we could probably rework it a little bit for print, but I think we should have something about this in the print edition. But it could even be the current article just restructured for more emphasis on the resources as opposed to the emphasis being what happened, just giving context, because it's like our paper does float around long after we publish it. So those resources will still be popping up as our issue of the paper floats around and persists. Whereas online, people are only going to see it if it's trending. But the physical copy itself will float around. And if the article in it is reworked to emphasize treatment or to emphasize resources available after the fact, as opposed to with only context given, then those are resources that people could be reminded of later. People can also make the decision to, I don't want to read this if they so choose.
Yes.
Dennis, you had your hand up?
Could I? This is it. I'm only interjecting now because I've got 15 minutes and some of you also. And I want to get this, I want to get a point or two in for helping sake. all of this that you're talking about, I think is the perfect route. You all have ideas, you all have discussions about whether or not and to what degree and to what focus. But I want to go back to the beginning because sometimes it's hard to address a specific moment in time. And the one word I want to say I heard one or twice is trust. Okay. This is something that to me is a case study when I think two foci can be very correct. Foci on humanity and sensitivity, sensibility, compassion, focus on journalism, integrity, sharing, being that light, both correct. With two different perspectives from within a group of people who really work well together. Okay, yet at a moment it felt oppositional. So that's why I want to bring that word trust in for times like this when two parties can be very equally accurate. That there is some trust enough when the heat of the moment settles down, when emotions have calmed, when the actual incident isn't in one's face or there has been sleep gotten or whatever, that we begin to realize or remember that we trust each other. You already do. You already really work well together. If there's a group of people that I could be proud of in my history of working with people, it's this group. Y'all are really cool with each other. So just to remember that you each trust each other for your values, because you've known each other's values over this time. And that even if some of them contradict or disagree, you can calm down and come back together and talk about it. And this is the exact moment of that enactment. So how you're proceeding with this story, I just wanted to bring it back how proud I have been in the last, what time did I get here today? 9? 8 hours? No, 6 or 7 hours of the maturity of which I've heard different individuals talk about this story and about how you felt about it, how you responded to it, the remorse in various moments of like, oops, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have done that. And the, again, care of each other as equally important, and of course, care of the subject of the article. And that takes a lot of trust, which you have, and I just encourage you to continue that in this discussion on paper versus online, resources versus event-based, description versus X, Y, or Z. I think you can trust each other. And yes, journalism integrity is important. And yes, minimizing harm is important. And this is, of course, your peers. You're not journalists reporting about a war in a different country where you don't know folks or whatever. It's personal for you. So that's an added layer. Your amount of time as journalists is also a factor here. The notion that you can make mistakes because of your student status, that's a part of this thing. The notion that the administration may have one or more interests that disagree with any of this or that contradict any of your findings as journalists is part of this. All of these things. But last two things to repeat. A super level of maturity. Really, I'm very proud. The last thing is just to keep it going, this conversation. I think you all have different good points to bring towards how this comes out, okay? That's what I want to say before I have to leave, and some of you also leave. But continue, and if I interrupted a flow, pardon me.
I think you were gonna speak.
I just wanted to say I'm not the most keen on getting this story published as it's already trending online. We can look into the databases. The story I don't want to say doing well because of how tragic the situation is, but people are seeing the story. And I think right now for the paper, what we should do is just publish resources.
Yeah.
And just be like, this is, if you need help, here's some local therapists what give like pulling in what the school's given us, pulling in some of our outsourcing some information.
Sorry, don't kick me. I lost the remote, so I was trying to see if I left it in here.
I don't believe you brought them.
This is the
No,
Your
no.
Check the desk. Your desk.
Yeah.
Can you check my desk? If you left it on my desk.
I also check your office too, dude.
I would say with that, I would have to agree, and also it could benefit those that haven't been personally affected by what happened. So I think that might be the best case for print. So
And like the thing is, especially with people who weren't personally affected, but are still affected because the Nest it really is a community. We may all equally hate the Nest, but we're all a community. And we're here for each other, and we've always kind of been like, I feel like we're all really sorry. Oh, Dan, you're saying something?
I was gonna say, we hate the Nest, not the people who live there.
So like we all are really chill with each other, except for like one dude everyone hates. But we all hate him for a reason. He's transphobic.
okay.
But that's the
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah, too.
Is it you, Ryland?
Yes, I'm the transphobic one. I absolutely just call it.
Sorry, I had to inject some levity somewhere.
Yeah.
No, his name is Sylvester. Everyone, I will happily name drop that guy because he's
Like
actually
the
like a
cat.
horse. Yeah,
Not in the paper.
not in the paper,
On the
but in
paper.
this room, closed door. His name, that's his name. He's a dick. He also just threatened me out of nowhere, which was so interesting. He was there for that.
It was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, the RA, like as soon as that threat uttered out of his mouth, the RA was okay.
It wasn't it was the front desk person, it wasn't you.
He's alright. He's an RA. He's
Alright,
actually
well, the
one.
front desk person was, RA was like, okay, calm down, get out.
And like the thing is, everyone's having issues with this one guy. So it's a community that all hates the Nest and this one guy. But still, everyone's affected, even if you don't know this person, because we know someone that is affected. Because like hell, we live with them. We see these people every single day, whether we want to or not. And it's everyone's been like, there's been people who don't feel comfortable going out to student services because they didn't know the person. And it's like, should I really be feeling this way if I didn't know this person immediately? Like if I didn't have class with this person, I wasn't friends with this person. So there are some people who are like, who I've heard just talking, they're like, I don't really want to go see the school counselors. Because also a lot of these people are freshmen. And if any, I'm presuming most of y'all went to an American high school, where, yeah, a good, like, there are people in this room who've gone to American high schools, and most of the time this is what I hear from multiple different people, is that usually in American high schools, the counselors don't care. So people still don't feel comfortable going to even university therapists because there's still that stigma of, do these people actually care about us?
I'll give them a good thumbs up. They're pretty cool. They're around here.
Yeah.
They are really good. I've been to them a few
Hi,
times.
Dennis. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dennis.
So this is why I'm kind of urging there be some resources that are out of campus.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to be including the campus resources, but we should also just be including campus, out of campus resources. Like, example, Howard Brown has amazing therapists. I am applying to go see one because
The problem with that though is this wait lists.
the wait list.
We should just
are-
provide as many
Yeah,
different resources, just a shitload of resources, try
Exactly.
them all.
Yeah.
And get the
Yeah.
caveat that the medical system in America is dog shit, and you really have to wade through it to get to anything.
Yeah,
Just give as much context as possible, as many resources as possible.
Also say rely on your friends.
Also,
Your friends are
here-
there to talk to.
No, I'm trying to find a neurologist right now, and there's no one that accepts Medicaid nearby. And
Exactly.
Oh.
So I guess since we're all in agreements with the resource list, who wants to work on it? Because the print is coming out.
Tomorrow? Well, not tomorrow.
Well, deadline is tomorrow.
The
deadline is tomorrow.
So who has
Or-
time to work on a resource list?
I don't because I
Do we need
still
it
have
by
to-
tomorrow?
Do we?
Do we need it?
Yeah, Ron, give me straight up.
Yes, because
Okay.
at least tomorrow I can get that layout done.
Okay.
Um,
How do you want it?
I just need
Kind of like it looked in the issue of the article online.
yeah, I
It's
just
like bold details.
Yeah.
so basically bold name of place, bold what they specialize in,
Maybe like hours of
Location.
operation,
Yeah,
if they
hours.
accept healthcare.
yeah, what do they accept? I think because majority of our students, or judging based on majority of our students, we mostly all have like state healthcare.
Mhm.
Because let's face it, if we're not working a good job, our healthcare is kind of shit.
Yes.
So trying to find places that like take Medicaid, because usually if places take Medicaid, they'll take pretty much everything else.
Okay.
It depends on the network, because sometimes they do accept it in certain places, otherwise they don't.
Okay, so who wants to work on it, knowing the,
Looks like Phoenix. is
Yeah,
doing
it's
it
already.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah,
Phoenix.
alright.
So yeah, just make it very like simple. Like this is what they specialize in. Very short and sweet. Because that is what I would recommend. Because that's what catches people's eyes more. Because a lot of times people don't want to read a big ass thing saying like praises to this therapist. They just want to see this is what they do. This is what they specialize in. Hours, location, what do they accept? Like a very, very brief rundown.
Does anybody else have anything else to add to this? I don't know, Zach, if you look to Dan.
just not for this issue or not immediate concern, but I would say one. Did someone say that the counselors here are actually decent?
It was Dennis. I said that.
Yeah.
It was Dennis. Okay. Has anyone actually had experience? Don't mean to out anyone, but is he right that they're actually decent?
Yeah,
They're good.
Do we want to maybe, if we can agree that they're decent, do we maybe want to do an opinion piece or an expose on the counselors here so that we can, if we think that they are worth plugging, plug them? I mean, journalistically, of course, like, hey, like, do it responsibly, but that way is if we think students should be more comfortable with the people with the folks on campus, should we highlight them?
I feel like if we're gonna do that, the person writing the piece does definitely matter, especially a person that holds more power.
Us?
Yeah,
So
Or-
maybe somebody with actual experience with them as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, at least coming from that informed place, so maybe
Yeah.
if any of the section editors.
I want to ask this here, like, if I get your major wrong. I don't know if you're talking, your mic is muted.
Here.
Yeah,
You-
man, can
yeah,
you
you
hear
muted.
us?
Can you?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought we could.
Alright. Alright,
Alright,
Okay.
cool.
Yep.
You can also